and welcome to How Humans Heal. I'm Dr. Donnie Wilson, and today I'm really excited to introduce all of you to Ryan Sternagel. He is the co founder of the Stern Method with his wife, Teddy, and they started on the path of helping others to prevent and reverse cancer because they went through their son being diagnosed with neuroblastoma cancer when he was just 1 years old. And so that just opened up this whole world of what else can you do to help your son who's diagnosed with cancer. And now Ryan and Teddy have continued helping others who, whether childhood or other cancers, and a community, a healing community for those who are in the process of preventing or addressing cancer. And so it's really an honor to have you here, Ryan, to just hear your perspective going through this yourself and your perspective of helping so many others who are on the cancer healing journey. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Donnie. It's been a wild ride, but it appears to be going in a pretty neat direction. So it's pretty cool getting to be on the other side of it, and now getting to help other people get on the other side of it. And it's neat.
Amazing, because that was over 10 years ago that Ryder was diagnosed, right?
Yeah, it's almost 12 years ago now. He'll be 13 in May, and he was diagnosed 11 days before his first birthday. It's kind of crazy. Sometimes it feels like lifetimes ago, and sometimes it feels like just yesterday. It's kind of crazy,
and it just became like, and you and Teddy, just to tell us a little bit about that. Like, you just dove in head first in the deep end of like, what else can we do to help our son, which is understandable, of course. How shocking to get that diagnosis.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of an extra gut punch because we were already kind of going down the getting healthy road, whatever that means. We were trying different diets and eating mostly organic and getting rid of chemicals in the house and EMF and all the, clearly not nearly as much as we do now, 12 plus years later, or almost 12 years later. But I mean, compared to 98% of the population, we were already doing pretty good, right? Even before Ryder was conceived. So, it was a bit of a what the heck type thing. But that being said, since we were already going down all these roads and just had gotten into watching health documentaries and alternative cancer documentaries were included in that. And so we'd already had a pretty good idea of, at least where to start looking. Right.
Mm-hmm. And what was his Ryder's treatment? Like, how long did that last? And when was there a point where you really felt like, okay, this is behind us?
Yeah, that was a whole big thing. So when we had initially got the diagnosis, we said, thanks for the diagnosis. We're going to go get a second opinion. And they didn't like that very much. And but then we were actually back in the hospital a couple of days later because we did get a port placed, or a Hickman line actually, and got the biopsy. And it turned out that as a result of that Hickman line, he went septic with staph. He had his bloodstream staph infection. So at that point we were in the hospital, and it's like, all right, well, we'll do a round of chemotherapy, because he did. I mean, the tumor was, they always make it sound like it's an emergency and you're going to die tomorrow if you don't start the chemo. Right. But in this case, I mean, we realized we did need to do something sooner than later, because it was inside of his spine. Like, you couldn't even see the spine on the MRIs. So, and any cancer clinic we were calling or anything like that was now out the window, because we were inpatient on IV antibiotics and all that stuff. So we did a round of chemo, and then got back to, okay, where do we go from here? And at that point, Child Protective Services showed up and said, we heard you weren't complying with the hospital, but it sounds like you are now. So as long as you keep complying, we won't take your kid from you, was the long and short of that conversation. And so that
That was stressful.
That was fun. Yeah, it's our son had just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and then we're sitting in a CPS agent's office answering questions about, were you sexually abused as a child, and how do you discipline your 1-year-old, and all sorts of fun questions like
Wow.
that,
So
right?
the reality hits fast, like, and the reality of like, hey, here's the conventional approach, and it's like if as a parent, if you're not going to follow that, then there's questions going to be coming at you.
Hot and heavy.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. And so then it was, okay, well, what are we looking for? How many rounds of chemo are you guys trying to do? What's kind of the end goal, end point? And they said it's going to be 4 rounds. And I said, well, what are you looking for in those 4 rounds? And they gave us some parameters. And we said, well, what if you can get there in 2 rounds? Or what if we can get there in 2 rounds? And they said that's impossible.
Mm.
That won't happen. But if it humors you, then sure, we'll do the scans after 2 rounds and see where you're at. And we ended up blowing those parameters out of the water, probably
Amazing.
because we were just kind of hit the ground running, right? In terms of just opposite of paralysis by analysis, right? Just
Well, and this is the thing
if,
is a lot of times when people get a cancer diagnosis, they do go into paralysis, right?
yeah,
It's like the nervous system hits this overwhelm and you feel like you can't take in any more information, and yet that's right when you kind of need to be able to make a lot of changes quickly.
yeah. And I mean, I totally get it, but that was not us. I had our credit cards, all of our credit cards memorized. We opened many more credit cards than the one we just had. That was kind of a fun little game of how many credit cards can we open before they catch on and we start can't open any more credit cards anymore. And I had all of them memorized, and overnight shipping, and just in any supplement that I thought could help, we were getting it. Any device that sounded like it could help and we could afford it, we were getting it. We were working with one of the best naturopathic oncologists in the country slash world, who by the grace of God was right near the hospital, his practice. And that thankfully we stumbled into him just looking for IV vitamin C. And yeah, all these things, right? So we just we're hitting the IVs, the juicing, we got a feeding tube. That was like another argument with the hospital, because we wanted to feed. We're like, well, how are we going to get all these supplements and juice and so on and so forth into them? And then we realized that that they give these kids feeding tubes, and we said, all right, can we get the feeding tube? And they said, well, that's only for the sick kids. And we said, well, we don't want our kid to get
We're
sick.
going to try to prevent that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a half day argument with just, well, that's not how we do it. But anyway, we won that argument. We had juicer in the hospital and just the whole thing, right? And so anyway, yeah, I mean, after we got those scans, it's no, we never said that. It's going to be, you got to do the 4 rounds. And then we're coming up on round number 4. And they said, we said, well, we're coming up on number 4. We're done after this, right? And I said, no, who said anything about 4 rounds?
Oh,
It's
they
going to
kept
be
changing the
8.
story on you.
Yeah. It's 8, and we got to start talking about radiation. And it's like, well, you just said he's doing better than you said was possible, and now you're doubling the treatment on us. Um, yeah, and so yeah, on the way home from that appointment, my wife just looked at me in the car, Teddy, and said, "Should we just move to Utah?" And I said yes, and that was the end of that conversation. And we were gone under 2 weeks later, and got here to Utah, where we still live here in Park City. We love it. Couldn't imagine living anywhere else. And
Because what is it that in Utah you have more decision
it
making?
was, yeah, I mean, nowhere is perfect, right? There is, in terms of medical freedom and parental rights when it comes to cases like this and so on and so forth. And there's stories like our story, that there's stories like that here too. But it was just kind of it was a hunch. It was somewhat of a logic educated guess, I guess you could say. It was like, where in the country is both natural health friendly and personal liberty oriented?
Mm.
Like, we came from the Seattle area, that's very high on the natural health friendly spectrum, very low on the personal liberty, government stays out of your business type spectrum. And then there's other places in the South, right, big on personal liberty, but yet they don't license naturopaths and stuff like that, right? So Utah was like, oh, they got both of those things going on, so let's give it a shot. And Yeah. So when we got there, it turned out when in talking to the new team that the standard of care for Ryder's diagnosis was always 8 rounds. That was in his chart from day one. They were just telling
Mm,
us whatever we needed to hear to get us to the next round, sort of
mm,
thing.
mm,
So at that point, we were halfway through the standard of care and probable radiation, because when it's non-resectable,
mm.
like it was in his inside of and growing out his spine, then a lot of times they do radiation there. So yeah, we were kind of at a minimum halfway through the standard of care, probably even less. And but the new team was actually cool with backing off at that point. I think based on how Ryder was doing, and that honestly actually kind of freaked us out when we had fought so hard to for that right, and then we have a guy saying, well, I would like you to do more. If it were me, I'd, if it were my kid, I'd do the 8 rounds, but you're the parents. And so yeah, I mean that did kind of throw us for a loop.
It's a big responsibility to make those decisions. Every
Yeah.
decision along the way becomes a big decision.
Yeah, but yeah, we decided we'll back off, and that's the other thing is, even the way he put it was, okay, if you do this, then we'll get scans every few months, and if things are looking like they are going the wrong way again, then we can turn on a dime and start. And so it doesn't have to be, and that's what we try to tell people today. It's making any kind of decision like this is, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It's going to be this way or the highway type decision. It's just see how it goes for a little while, and constantly be evaluating and reevaluating and readjusting and fine tuning. And if you think you're going to get just, it's not going to be one thing that solves the
That's such an
problem. And
important point. It really is to say, like, just in the moment, make the decision, and then a month later or 4 months later, it could be completely different set of variables and a completely different outcome. So I think that's really important point for people to hear who when you any cancer diagnosis, right? We're referring to Ryder's case, but like I know I see this in many with when I work with patients with different types of cancer. It's a similar thing. You have to kind of see where are we starting from, what's the information we have at this moment in time, and let's decide based on that information. Even if it might change in a month, we can make a different decision.
yep, yep. So yeah, that actually turned out to be the last conventional medicine he ever had. The tumors kept on, we tripled down on everything we were doing on the integrative, natural, whatever you want to call it, side. And I mean, started, kept doing the let's just do everything thing, and working and working with really good doctors at the same time, right? And we do whatever the doctors told us and 50 other things. That was just kind of the MO. Working with energy healers and just whatever it was that we thought could potentially help. We were doing it. We ended up, I guess, being justifiably paranoid about environmental
Mhm.
concerns. Right,
Mhm.
your kid gets born with cancer, you start thinking something might be in the water. So we ended up buying a piece of land in the middle of the woods, and building a house from the ground up with non-toxic materials, and so we could kind of create his ultimate healing environment. And then we started adding a bunch of animals and chickens and ducks and horses and donkeys and cats and dogs. And so now we got the little homestead-ish type thing going, and got the greenhouse, and turned out pretty cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, because it really became like, hey, if and I think that's such an important thing. Hey, if this is like you said, if cancer's showing up for him at that age, then yeah, we have to look at the environment that he is in, and any decision you make would be potentially beneficial to your whole family, right? Because you're all in the same environment. So it's like you're like, hey, let's change this environment completely so that we can make it most likely that the body can have a different outcome.
Yeah, and it's funny. Sometimes I'll even hear practitioners talk about, well, I'll clean up the I'll get my patient to clean up their body, or I'll help my patient clean up their body. And then once that's all fixed, then I'll start talking to them about their
Mm.
environment and stuff like that. And it's like, if you've got this constant flow of stuff, be it heavy metals or chemicals or PFS, PFAs, all the things, right? If those are all coming in, just and they are, if you're not actually doing something about it, right? Then how are you ever supposed to clean up the body? Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
because you're constantly getting re-exposed, so it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah. I heard like an analogy once that I liked. It's kind of like, if you compare healing to climbing a mountain, and climbing a mountain's already hard enough, but then you're going to strap a 100-pound backpack to your back and try to climb the mountain, and the backpack's all the toxicity.
Mm.
Then you should probably drop the backpack if at all possible, and
But it comes back
climb the
to some
mountain.
of
Yeah.
this sort of like when you get the diagnosis, and a lot of times I see this, like not only do we feel frozen in terms of decision making, but sometimes we feel frozen in terms of feeling like we can't move or change. And the thought of like saying, "Hey, I need to consider," you guys chose to move states and let alone build a new home. It's like, so it's like you guys had to really be willing to let go of what was and say, hey, we want, our priority is so much that we want to help our son that we're going to let go of anything we may have been attached to and completely create something new. Do you think there was something that helped you to be in that state of willingness to let go and create something new?
I don't really know what that might, as far as upbringing or anything. I don't really know what made us different than a lot of other people I hear about who get either a diagnosis for themselves or a diagnosis for their kid, and everything we just talked about. I'm not really sure what makes
Mm-hmm.
Teddy and I different in that regard, aside from well, I guess neither of us were angels growing up in terms of following rules and
Mm.
that sort of thing. So
You were
as
already
far as
kind of
like
thinking
bucking, like,
outside the box. You were
yeah,
very.
I mean, bucking the system type stuff, that came naturally. But as in terms of what made us so willing to just pack up and leave our family and friends and just do whatever we needed to do, it was I guess it was. I'm not saying other people don't love their kids, but that's all it was, is just what is the best possible thing for this scenario right now. And it was pretty obvious, and so we did it, right. And there's also, you know I guess we also did just kind of embrace that, even if we couldn't quantitate or elucidate it like I'm about to back then, but it was just that there's seasons for things. There's seasons in life, right? And the more you can just embrace that this is a different season for you and really own that, right? I mean, we even talk about that with like fundraising, right? And just asking for help and accepting that you're in a position of needing help, right?
Mm.
That's that's really hard for people. And I'd always prided myself on not needing anybody's help and getting by on my own and pulling myself but up by the two bootstraps, or whatever the saying is. And we flipped that on its head 100%. And we had the online fundraiser, and I took 20 minutes out of every day just to send messages to everybody in my Facebook list or my phone or email contacts or whatever it was, and just ask them to share the fundraiser. And just whatever it was, because I guess again, it's like this: the faster and the better you can embrace that you're in this season in life, and whatever that is, whether it's a season of needing, a season of needing help, a season of needing to heal, the season of needing to just let go of what you thought was important before. Probably the faster you'll be out of that season, right? Because
Mm.
you
Mhm.
really just lean into it. That's you're probably going to give yourself the best chances of moving on before the devil even knows your name, whatever that country song, however those lyrics go. Yeah.
Well, it's that it reminds me of this, like what we a lot of times we refer to in, I wouldn't say naturopathic medicine, but I'm sure it's in other realms too, of just like whatever environment created the cancer, right? Whatever environment you were in, whatever, and when I mean by environment, it may be the house, might be the state, might be the country, but it also is the status inside the body, right? So whatever status and of the situation in that person's body, that allowed the cancer to happen, you want to be able to go, hey, how do I shift this? Because if we stay in the same state, then the cancer is more likely to continue because that's the state that it originated in.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just aside from wanting to have more decision making capability over what treatments he did or didn't get and all that stuff, just that whole thing was also just creating an extremely stressful and
Mm,
toxic
mm-hmm.
environment outside of, the cancer diagnosis is stressful enough, right? But and then you add all that on, and just one tense situation with doctors or hospital staff or CPS workers, agents, whatever you call them, after the next. And then, we got to thinking, it's like, what was the cause, right? We'll never know for sure. And of course, the world's a very toxic place, much more toxic than it ever was. So, and did they, that study or experiment or whatever it was, when they ran the umbilical cords of all those kids and finding all these toxicants, and dozens or over 100 of them were known carcinogens. So that's the toxicity, of course, is a factor. But there was also, my wife did have an extremely stressful work situation going
Mm.
on while she was pregnant. And it was one of those, the only thing we can figure is the boss was trying to make her life so miserable that she would quit so they wouldn't have to pay maternity leave, sort of thing
Mm.
happening. And I mean, it worked on the making her life miserable. I saw it on her face
Really?
every day, right? And
Oh,
it's talk about one regret in life is not pulling her out of that job sooner.
right.
Um, but and then, and then what do you know? It's our son is born with a cancer of the nervous system. So
Wow. Isn't that so? And it just shows you how emotional stress can show up in this way, because I think a lot of times we're not realizing that the emotional stress we might be in with a job, for example, or some other kind of relationship that's involving, that degree of pressure, it can show up in our health. It doesn't mean that it's always going to be cancer, but it could be, it can be related. Emotional stress can translate into risk of cancer. We know that from research too.
yeah, and that's
Mm.
what I did. If you want to take the adverse childhood experiences study, that whole thing, or just the more not even esoteric, but the Bruce Lipton biology of belief stuff, the Joe Dispenza stuff. It's that they're all proving it in different ways, right? That yeah, what you think and what happens to you and how you interpret whatever has happened to you, and it all makes a very big physical difference one way or the other.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it's like, it kind of sucks to hear that on the one hand, because we've all been through stuff, right? And it's, yeah, that's really unfortunate that just what we've been through can cause a physical disease. But it's also, you flip that on its head, it's also empowering to know that there are, it's like when I asked the hospital what they think caused the cancer, I got a shrug and bad luck. You know what I mean? And that was literally,
Really?
yeah. Those were the exact two words, was bad luck, that
Oh
was the
my
cause.
gosh, that's like
Um,
just a dead end right there. You're
yeah,
you're
so it's
stuck.
like, well, what are you supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? But when you actually like, oh no, okay, there are real things that caused it, and if there are these real things that caused it, then you can find the reversal to those things, right? So
Absolutely. That's such an important way to, as a naturopathic doctor, as you know, that's a key. It's like we always want to understand what's underlying, why, asking that question, why. And even if we don't know the exact answer, like you said, we can at least consider all the possibilities and address them to decrease the likelihood. And so I wanted to just ask you, more specifically related to clean home and non-toxic home type, what did you learn along the way? Like, what is it like? Because you've researched everything and seems like tried most everything. If if you had to say, like, what are your some of your top things that you're like, if someone asked you, what would you definitely do in your home that you feel like's made the biggest difference? If you could tell it all.
yeah, I mean, it's well, one, it's easier to, although the world keeps getting more toxic, there are more and more non-toxic living options available by the year, whether you're talking about just non-toxic skincare products or stuff like that, on up to non-toxic building materials and things of this nature. So yeah, there's more options now than there ever was. I just remember, like, what's the environmental working group list of all their A-rated products. It was, whether you're talking about skincare or cleaning or whatever it is, and it's like that was a very small list 12 years ago or
It's
15 years
true.
ago, and now now it's overwhelming, like which of these top rated non-toxic products do I choose. So that's cool. So it's, I mean, as far as like consumable, cleaning, skincare stuff you have around the house, I mean, it's just, that's really easy. Just don't buy anything with a word that you can't pronounce in the ingredients, and you can geek out deeper than that. But I mean, it's getting easier and easier. But as far as like more the home stuff goes, I mean, and if you're trying to build your own house, then work with a building biologist would be my top, or even do a remodel or something like that, right? Because it can get overwhelming researching all the different options and schools of thought on different building materials and all these things. Yeah, I was trying to research that and just do all my general cancer and implementation research and stuff for Ryder, and have a day job at the same time. And I thought it was, going to have a, if all the stuff before didn't give me a breakdown, it's like choosing which building material for I don't know, the walls or something. That was going to be the thing that broke me.
It's a
So
lot. I just recently went through remodeling my home, and it is a lot of decisions to make.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so seek out the help of an expert, a building biologist. That's a really good idea if you're going to be actually like building. But I mean, aside from that, it's clean air, clean water. I think a couple big things that get overlooked a lot is replace your furnace filter. If most people have never thought about that before, just
Mhm.
pause this podcast and go pop that bad boy open if you never had before, and see what you've been circulating in your house. It's pretty, yeah, it's that those things are supposed to be cleaned. Also
I
get your
completely agree. It made such a difference when I figured that out. For many years, I didn't know, and then once I knew, I was like, and now I just keep ordering these filters and I keep replacing them. And every time when the guys come to service my furnace, they're so surprised that I'm actually changing the filter more often. And I'm like, of course, this is the air we're breathing all the time.
Yep. Get your ducts cleaned every few years. They come with a big vacuum and just vacuum them out, so you don't encourage mold growth and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, then just obviously you get if you've never had a mold test done, get some sort of mold inspection. It's, even if it's not growing on your walls. Lots of people find out that they've had a big mold problem. That's been the source of their, at least a big source of their problems, right? Um,
Yeah, I see that a lot too. And I agree with you. A lot of times when I ask people, are you aware of being exposed to mold? A lot of times people will say, "No, I'm not aware." But then if we kind of think about it a little bit more, sometimes they start to go, "Well, I did see a little bit, or there's maybe something in my basement or my attic." And the one of the most common I see is the air conditioning units. Maybe you see that too, right? And then you're just
Yeah.
like, they're like, holy moly, I had no idea my air conditioner was filled with mold. So it's definitely worth looking there. Or like you're saying, have a good inspector come, because there's a lot of mold inspectors that are not going to find anything.
Yeah, or then now there's even little like kits you can do of sending in air samples and stuff like that to just a company that does that sort of thing. So yeah, there's options there. And then, that's if your house is old on the older side. If it's on the newer side, then you got to work. I mean, pretty much every default building material. It's just like if you walk into a conventional grocery store and just pick, whatever vegetable oil is on the shelf, that's going to be bad for you. That's how it works with building homes as well. Any default, this whatever the stuff that your contractor goes and buys at the home goods store, whatever it is, that's going to be it's going to be off gassing, formaldehyde, and all sorts of other nasties, and that's not going to be a good thing. So I mean, yes, sorry if you just bought a new house, but there's a couple things you can do. One, just every time you paint, don't get toxic paint, get non-toxic paint. But there's also one, the brand we used in particular, it's AFM Safe Coat. It's not only non-toxic, but they make it to kind of like block
Mm,
the off-gassing. So it's going back the other
that's
way out of
great.
your house, not into your house. So if you feel especially motivated, you can even if you don't need a new paint coat right now inside, you can, give it a once over with that and at least block a good deal of the off-gassing. But just, get an air purifier, have a collection of air purifiers. We started out with one that we would literally have in Ryder's bedroom when he was sleeping, and then we'd lug it out to the living room when he was playing in the living room. And and now we've got like a small fleet of air purifiers in the house. And
I like it the way you say. I'm with you, Ryan. I'm with you. It's funny, It's like once you realize how important it is to clean your air, you're like, I want one in every room.
yeah, and it's a lot of emphasis gets put on eating organic food and drinking clean water, and rightfully so, right? But think about how many times a day you eat or drink versus how many times a day you breathe. And then you find out that indoor air is on average 3 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. So whenever you're looking out at a smoggy sky or something like that, and you can kind of know that it's kind of like that every day in your house if you could actually see it, unless you're doing something about it. And then yeah, that's just on average. And then if it's a bad situation, it can be hundreds of times, right? So, and then you're literally breathing that stuff in with every breath, and yeah, so it's a big deal. Open your windows, even in the winter. Get a little bit of a draft going, if at all
Mm.
possible. Yeah.
If you've recently received an abnormal pap smear result or told that you test positive for high risk HPV virus, I'm here to empower you. Your body is powerful and it's designed to heal, even from HPV. I'm Dr. Donnie, and I've spent years helping women to tap into their natural healing potential. The Say Goodbye to HPV program provides you with a personalized, natural approach to support your immune system and clear HPV. This is about giving your body the boost it needs to do what it's made to do. Join the thousands of women who've taken this journey with me and start your own path to healing.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, this is so helpful and so inspiring, and you make it so feel like, hey, this is doable, because I know sometimes people feel also overwhelmed, like, where do I begin? But I hear you saying, like, you just start little by little, and you just start with, even start with one air filter and kind of get, start to do that. You can go step by step, get your air ducts clean, change your furnace filter, and then you can go from there and make the next decision. It doesn't have to all happen today or this week.
Implement, yeah, a little bit of, and that goes for non-toxic living, that goes for healing on all fronts, right? It's like, but we, we've got we've got an entire room now in our house, and it was a smaller room, and now we've moved it to a bigger room, of all of our healing gear, right? Between two different saunas and various light therapies and biomat and acoustic, vibroacoustic mat, and just got a hyperbaric, which is awesome. And people look at that and they're like, "What the hell?" Yeah,
I would love
I
to
can't
have one
afford
in
all
my
that.
house.
I
I
can't
would
afford all
love
that.
that.
It's like, well, neither could we. I mean, we've been collecting this stuff over the past 12 years, right? And it's just, but it's been a priority for us. We have not gone on any elaborate vacations with our kids. For a long time we were tens of thousands of dollars of debt. So I mean, I think we're still working some of that off, but it's, we go on like road trip, camping trip vacations, and we, buy hyperbaric chambers instead of,
Yeah.
it's just,
It's a
yeah, but
it's a priorities. You make priorities and you have values and you're like, hey, this is important to us and we'd rather have this than yeah, than just I'm the same way, Ryan. I mean, and it's hard to explain sometimes, but I think of it as like when health and yourself and your family is so much higher on a priority list, and then you look at the money in your budget and you go, how do we want to spend this? Well, we want to match it to what our priority is in our life. And that's what you're doing. You're saying, hey, this is a priority, we're going to spend our money here versus just spending it mindlessly, and then hoping for the best, right? Hoping
yeah,
for the best down the road.
actually, it's funny. I think I know where that vacation analogy came from. Teddy and I were on the way on a layover back from from a health conference, right? And we ran into some friends of ours who live here in town, and they said, where are you coming back from? Health conference. Where are you guys coming back? And they had all their kids with them, right? And it's several kids. And it was somewhere like some resort in Costa Rica or something like that. Like, oh, cool. And then a few days later, they reached out and asked Teddy what our whole body vibration plate was. And we said power plate, because we think it's the best. And like, oh, that's so expensive. We could, that's the most expensive one. We'd never, that's crazy. And it's like, we just saw you getting back from Costa Rica, that cost 10 of those vibration plates for that trip. But yeah, I don't know.
Right. It
Yeah.
is. It's a different perspective. And so even just anyone listening to just sit down. I mean, I don't know if you practice that, Ryan, or if it just comes to you naturally. Do you ever sit down and say, here's what our values are, or here's what we want, how we want to prioritize our choices? And do you do it that intentionally, or it just comes naturally to you?
No. I mean, and it was kind of born out of necessity, right? We were,
You were pushed to like, hey,
kind
we
of
got to save our son's life any way we can. Yeah.
entry level, out of college job, young adults with not a lot in savings. And yeah. And so, I mean, of course we got help from family and friends, but when you're talking about trying to afford all this stuff, there's no amount of money that's really enough. And so, like I said, I mean, we were doing the fundraising thing and raising tens of thousands of dollars. But I mean, just all of that was going directly towards all of this stuff. And we were scraping by on every other instance. And I mean, I was an outside sales guy, and you got to dress nice as an outside sales guy. Right. And that for me meant, yeah, like stopping whenever I drove by like a used a thrift store or whatever in between appointments. I'd pop in and see if they had like a nice tie or a nice shirt or whatever that I could buy for $5, right? It's like, so I mean, that mentality is just that kind of ordered our priorities there. And it's just, now we're doing better than buying $5 shirts at the thrift store, but it's still those key priorities still just kind of remain. Yeah.
And and I'm curious, and I think I've heard this before from you and Teddy, but did you notice a change in your health when you were going through this process of helping Ryder? Did you end up going, oh wow, these other things were a benefit and to our health in the process?
Depends on what exact point in time of the journey you're referring to, because Yeah, I mean, initially when we look back at some of those pictures, our joke is that we look way more like the cancer patients than Ryder did. Because yeah, just staying up all night, researching, also kind of paranoid about just everything. And then there was, a little bit of, well, if I'm taking this supplement or drinking this juice or whatever it is, then it's taking away from that everything should be going to Ryder.
I see. Yeah.
Right. So there was that mentality for, I can't tell you exactly how long, but a while.
Of
Right.
course, you were like, we're going to pour everything into him. Yeah.
Yeah. But somewhere along the way, we started drinking the juice ourselves and taking a few of the supplements ourselves. And then, you come to the realization that the more healthy and high vibe and effective you are, and that's going to make you more effective, right? Then that's only going to result in better care for your kid. And it's kind of one of those things you just have to realize. It's all, I mean, that was the other thing that kind of, is because we were just, again, learning about all aspects of everything, right? And going back to what we were talking about earlier, resolving past traumas and positive, go to if anyone's not familiar with the, radical remission 9 factors of heal, that book that Dr. Kelly Turner wrote, that's a really good one. And most of a lot of them are mental, right? And it was the 9 factors she analyzed thousands of cases of people healing without conventional medicine, or when conventional medicine sent them to die, or whatever it is, right? And so she put these 9 factors together, and increasing positive emotions is one, and releasing suppressed negative emotions. And so I found out about that, and it's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to apply that to a 1-year-old? You know what I mean? And then that was frustrating. But then again, we came to the kind of realization that the more we can apply that to ourselves, we're energetically connected to him, and it's going to rub off on him, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's been a process. And and then fast forward to today, right, where we've got this really awesome healing room that we just finished kind of painting the basement and upgrading our healing room to a bigger room in the house. And now it's a whole family thing. Everybody's using all the devices, and it got the kind of supplement routine for everybody, and it's making our healthy smoothies in the morning for the family and all the things. It's really good.
And through this process, I know you then decided to create the Go Integrative membership and community. Where tell us more about that. Like I'm thinking this was like coming out of like how like you're sharing here, like just wanting to share all this knowledge with others and create the community that you probably wished you had.
It is the community we always wanted. Well, actually, it's we kind of. So I mean, we in leaving our family and friends and all that behind and moving states, that's actually the one thing that really kept us going, was since we were putting everything we were doing out there very publicly. And that's what led to our website and podcast, and then doing the online summits and just all the online health stuff that we've done over the years. Right. But it was originally that kind of community that we attracted to ourselves, whatever it was. But not everyone wants to put their whole life out online and that sort of thing. So yeah, so as far as the community goes of people that are concerned with cancer for whatever reason, are you going through it yourself? Did you have it and you don't want it to come back? As a family member going through it and you're trying to research or whatever it is? But yeah, just that community of because your friends and family, no matter how supportive they are of your decisions, they're still probably going to think you're weird for talking about like coffee enemas and whatever it is, right? So
if they haven't heard of it before, they probably will be like, what did you just say? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that community aspect. But then also it's just, I started going to all these integrative cancer, like physicians conferences early on, right? To learn all I could for my son. And then just finding the best integrative cancer doctors just kind of became a passion. And just learning from them. And like I said, we did the online summits. And so I was looking for the best doctors there and had a podcast and was looking for the best doctors there and just finding the best integrative cancer doctors in the country / world. Like, again, it's just, when we moved, it was kind of before. I kind of say that's the one good thing that came out of COVID is like telemedicine laws laxed up, right? But when we moved, that was before all that, and we had a really good integrative cancer doctor in Seattle, Dr. Paul Anderson, who's like right under God in the naturopathic doctor community, right? And
he's been one of my instructors and mentors, and still, oh my gosh, learn from him all the time. He's got such good experience and so much to give in terms of helping other practitioners to also be able to help others. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I was, in his office picking his brain, and I could ask any far-flung alternative cancer weird question to him. And it's like, he gave me an answer like he was just, researching that this morning. Right. And, but then I couldn't find anybody like that in Utah. Right. So and that's actually kind of why we started our podcast in the first place was, well, if I can't get answers if I can't get advice anymore from one of the best, then I'll just start a podcast and interview doctors and get get answers that way. But it's, just with cancer, especially, I mean, any chronic condition it can get overwhelming when you start researching from an integrative perspective, because there's all sorts of different theories out there and conflicting points of view and dogmas and so on and so forth. But I mean, it seems to be at its height of conflicting information when it comes to cancer specifically.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so yes, do your own research. But that, don't go it alone either, because it's just, you're never going to catch up to the professionals who have been doing this day in, day out, seeing what works for what types of, this works for this type of patient, it doesn't work for that type of patient, so on and so forth. Just that learned experience that you can't replace. So having a place, we get a different integrative, one of my top favorite integrative cancer doctors, we get him on a Q&A call every week, and regular people get to ask whatever they want, whatever they're trying to figure out that week, directly to one of the top integrative cancer doctors in the country / world. You're part of that prestigious group, Dr. Donnie, even though, you're like one of the handful that you don't necessarily call yourself a quote unquote cancer doctor. But you do help a lot of women with cancer, and I really like your style either way, Dr. Donnie. So you're part of the group.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I mean, I realized, like, over time I started to go, because I never considered myself that either. But then I started realizing, oh my gosh, I'm doing a lot of helping women to prevent cancer, and at the same time, see cases of people who already do have a diagnosis of cancer and helping them navigate that. And so I've started to realize, oh, this is what I'm doing. I wanted to say that, through this, I mean, thank you so much for sharing all this, because I'm hoping everybody really understands, like, that it's not enough to just be searching, going down the rabbit hole on your own and trying to figure this out. That there are actually resources like your Going Integrative membership and the guide that you created, the Guide to Strategic Supplementation, where here you are researching all the possible supplements to help with cancer, which of course there's hundreds, I don't know, even more, probably thousands. And so if someone's searching and all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, there's this and this and this and this and this and this, and next thing you know, you've got like a huge stack of supplements you're supposed to be taking, let alone for an infant. And so, being able to filter that out and say, hey, again, how do we prioritize? And this is what I do with patients. I help them. I find, hey, use my brain. I've got I've seen the research, I've seen the clinical experience. I know how to be able to go, hey, let's look at what's possible and then decide what to do first, second, third. And tell us more though, is that what people can find in the guide to strategic supplementation, which I will put a link, by the way, in the notes so that people can find it.
Yeah, and I forget if we set up a code for the Going Integrative membership now that or program, now
We'll
that I
put a
think
link
about it.
too. Yeah, we'll put a link
Yeah.
for that too. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. But yeah, as far as that guide goes, it's I don't know. I make the joke that my German brain is always trying to categorize and rank and create if then scenarios and blah blah blah. So I mean, it's
You might as
that,
well use
right?
it. I have some German in my brain too, Ryan, so I understand.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like even if you just go to our website, thesternmethod.com, and go to our what we use page, and then like the supplements section from there, you can kind of see how I don't know, my big framework is like I'd break things down into nutrify, correct, and protect. And nutrify is what it sounds like, right? Just super nutrition, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, polyphenols, so on and so forth. Just all the goodness that nature has to offer, right? That is also sadly stripped out of food. So you need to get it via extra food, food whole. We're big on like whole food based products versus isolated vitamins and stuff like that. But yeah, you gotta do a little extra just to say like topped up on the nutrition category, and then correct is detox, gut healing, and I throw like homeostasis, adaptogen type stuff in that category as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then protect is more advanced immune support, epigenetic stuff, mitochondrial support, metabolic support, things of these nature. And then, kind of the more advanced healing formulations that you'd find that if you're specifically looking for, I've got something that I really want to turn around, cancer, whatever it is, then there's, the higher end formulations in there. And then that's probably a good place to talk about the product that we made, which, there it is there. Our 7, which is kind of like, it's, I make the joke that I'm as big of a sucker for the next new shiny thing when it comes to exotic formulations and stuff like that. Is I'm probably a bigger sucker for those things than the next guy is actually. But I mean, as far as the stuff that we've, yes, we've done all in any crazy exotic formulation that gets talked about in alternative cancer books or whatever it is, we've probably done it, right? But the stuff that we've never strayed away from is just the botanicals, compounds with the thousands of studies in PubMed in relation to the particular condition that we've been talking about, right? That just, that they kind of cover the bases, whether it's immune support or mitochondrial health or anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, just adaptogenic, overall vitality, so on and so forth. And it's kind of, so what are we talking about? Curcumin / turmeric, green tea, EGCG, quercetin, ginseng, astragalus, grapeseed, selenium. Not exactly the most exotic stuff, but it's stuff that people, that are concerned with these things are probably, they should be taking anyway, under most circumstances. But again, going back to the 1,000 bottle type thing, that's always overwhelming. So how can we simplify, like, okay, here's the most important things that are probably going to help no matter what the situation is. You can't really get a naturopathic doctor to say anything bad about curcumin. So let's make it convenient and put it in one bottle, in one capsule. But then it's more than that. It's the sourcing, and just, we've been ultra discerning this whole time about asking for certificate of analysis for any new supplement that we're considering for Ryder, and looking at heavy metal levels. And are you testing for glyphosate? And was there, was there like acetate type chemicals, solvents used in the extracts for the extracts? And are the fillers, or are there fillers, but like the excipients, the stuff that makes the stuff flow through the machines, like, is that magnesium stearate and silicon dioxide and titanium dioxide and all those other oxides and stearates? Or, I mean, in our case, you have to use something a lot of the times, or the machines heat up, and then that heats the nutrients up, and you don't want that either. But I mean, we used organic bamboo silica extract and MCT oil powder, right? And so, we had to pay a little more for that, but that's just what it's a no-brainer. Like going integrative plus is the community and resource we always wanted. R7 is really the product it's our first, it's the company we started for that is Our Health Naturally. R7 is, it's kind of our 7 ingredients that we've always stayed very close to and haven't strayed away from, and we'll see where the whole Our Health Naturally company goes from there. But we're pretty proud of this one product to start. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, like, and every time I'm looking at research and looking at, okay, what are the top supplements I would recommend for anyone who's trying to prevent or heal from or recover from cancer, I come back to these same ingredients because there is the most evidence behind them, and they also have very good safety standards. There's very low likelihood of someone becoming toxic or having a negative reaction to them. And so as a practitioner, I'm always out there going, well, how come nobody's creating a product with these in there? It's very hard to find a product that has those ingredients you just listed. I mean, sometimes you can find a product with curcumin and green tea together, but it's hard to get the astragalus along with the grapeseed extract and the curcumin and green tea in effective doses, so when I see your product, that's what I think is like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been hoping somebody would make. Because otherwise you have to have a curcumin bottle and a green tea bottle and an astragalus bottle and everything separate, selenium separate, and all of them separate. And here you go, okay, how about this? Let's put them all in one bottle.
I've heard that from a few esteemed practitioners like yourself, Dr. Donnie. And on the one hand, I got nervous about, well, am I saying that this is just good for everything? I don't want to be, and it replaces a doctor. It's like, that's not what I'm trying to say, or it's not what we're trying to say. But on the other hand, these are pretty solid ingredients that are probably going to help, at least, if you're looking for a place to start, right?
These same ingredients are used in longevity medicine because they can turn off genetic expression and prevent.
I was actually digging around on telomere research with a lot of these, and it's like, oh wow,
yes. Astragalus in particular is very strong on that. So if someone's like, hey, how do I take something natural that's going to help slow down my aging, decrease oxidative stress, and reverse genetic expression that was caused by stress and trauma, these would be the ingredients you would want.
Well, thank you for saying so. Yeah. But no, it's we've been really proud of it. It's, our audience has been loving it, and now we're starting to get it out there to the wider world. And like you said, practitioners are getting excited about it. So yeah. And it's also, like I was starting to say, it's so much of I'll be excited about a company for a long time and really trust their products and so on and so forth. And then, you're just like, oh, when did they get sold to Nestle along the way or whatever? And now, like, you ask for a new certificate of analysis, and either they don't give it to you, or it's like loaded with lead and heavy metals and all this stuff. And so we just, we got tired of that, and just,
they said, let's just do it. Let's make it ourselves. And it's a big, believe me, I know, because I do product review and product creation and formulation, and it takes a lot to find each individual ingredient and a company who's going to created for you with high standards, like you've just mentioned, and using MCT powder instead of one of those other standard powders.
Yeah.
So,
That's the funny thing is we're working with a big manufacturer who, I mean, they work with a lot of companies who you've seen them in
mhm.
big in the online health world and Whole Foods and whatever it is. Right. And we're just this little guy just getting started. And I can tell, like, I'm the thorn in their side asking all these questions that
Good for
nobody
you,
else is.
Ryan. You should be. And I like that it's in a glass bottle too,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Naturally. I was just gonna, and yeah, that's the other thing, right? Is, we don't want our stuff touching plastic as much as possible, but we also just don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution, right? And I also just, I shake my head when ordering health stuff so much, and it's like it's coming in a plastic bag, and then the plastic bag is filled with plastic fillers, or those the plastic bubble
Plastic on top of
things,
plastic on top
plastic
of
on top,
plastic.
and the plastic shrink wrap on the bottom. It's like, yeah, we even got. I'm still working on the plastic lid. That's the only thing I haven't figured out yet. The manufacturer said metal lids don't really work with their machines, but they think they might have a bamboo lid for us on the next one. So we'll see about that. But I mean, even like the shrink wrap on top of the plastic, or excuse me, on top of the lid. Yeah, I just like, well, what can we do about that? So I got a paper tamper strip instead of plastic wrap, and I was just complaining about it to you, Dr. Donnie,
Mhm.
because sometimes they put it on funny and it covers the logo like you're showing there. But I don't know. It's just, yeah, we try to do the right thing
Well,
in
that's the
all
thing. You
possible
just get the
manners.
feeling like this is had a lot of care taken. I wanted to, because I didn't say it before, I want to say that those same ingredients, the curcumin, green tea, astragalus, those are three of my top in when I'm helping women with and men with high risk HPV virus, because there's a ton of research on exactly those ingredients helping to fend off high risk HPV and prevent cancer associated with HPV. So this product is also would be consistent with what I recommend for a part of at least part of the protocol for addressing HPV. And it's a similar scenario where when someone's diagnosed with high risk HPV, they could find endless things they could possibly take, and it can be super overwhelming. So we have to prioritize, and that's why I say these come right to the top of my prioritization, to say, hey, there's significant evidence, not only in research but also clinically, to show that these are going to be safe and effective. Let's start there, get those going, and instead of having to order 5 bottles of different things, you can have it in one bottle. And then now you can more easily, if you want to add the next things on the priority list, you can more easily add them. You've got your top part of your list taken care of already. So I think it to me it's how I look at uh, formulating a strategic protocol for patients, is to look for high quality products that allow us to be efficient and effective at the same time. No, thank you for creating it.
I was just thinking after that monologue, Dr. Donnie, you might see your face on a Facebook ad here at some point. Thank you for all that. That was great.
It's the truth. It's what I said. I As soon as I look at it, and it's what I said to my team. Hey, this is great. Any way that we can deliver what's going to help people, but in a doable way, because otherwise people are drowning in random supplements that may or may not be effective in the dose. Most often what I see is patients are just buying random things that have a lot of marketing money behind them, but they don't even have effective doses, let alone quality production. And so it's just very frustrating for me to see that. And so when I can see, oh, this is actually good production and effective doses, it's like, then it's such a much a more clear decision.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing is, you see a lot of these products that just have a little sprinkling of everything. They don't just
Oh,
proprietary blend, right? And what does that mean? How much of each? Yeah, so it was important to us to put the dosages on the bottle and actually have really good dosages in there. Obviously, one bottle's worth a month. You can do more than that if you're looking to turn things around in a bigger way or whatever. But it's the standard dose in there is not like it's not a joke, right? It's actually pretty good. Yeah. So we're proud of it, and I'm very grateful and appreciative of all the kind things you just said about it there, Dr. Donnie. Yeah.
Absolutely, it deserves it. And I have more kind things to say. I want to tell you how grateful I am for everything you've done. You've taken something that happened in your family, in your life, and you not only helped your son and completely shifted what you've been experiencing, but you've been sharing it with thousands of other people for them to benefit as well. And that's such reciprocity, where when we can go through an experience ourselves and learn some wisdom and then share it in such a humble way and say, hey, how can we, like you said, how can we make this a better place for all of us, and not be coming at it from this perspective of trying to get, or only trying to take care of ourselves. Like, how can we actually be reciprocal and reciprocating with each other? So that's a beautiful thing that you've done, and that you're still doing, and that you're offering people. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it just kind of seemed like what we were supposed to be doing. Right.
Sometimes
It's
our purpose becomes clear, right? We're like, well,
yeah.
I guess that's my purpose.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember standing in the parking garage of the hospital, talking to this kind of cancer coach type gal that we got hooked up with. And it was maybe a couple weeks into the whole thing, and still just very, going in a million different directions and all this stuff. But I remember her saying, God just told me, or I just got a feeling, or something like this, along those lines, that you guys are going to beat this, and not only beat it, but go on to help thousands or millions or whatever the number she used to do the same. And at the time, I just like, okay, that's nice to hear, but here we are. So yeah, that's pretty neat.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here today, and for sharing your story and your wisdom and your resources with everyone. And so I'll definitely have links down below, so those who are listening will be able to connect in with those resources and benefit from that connection with you even more. And so thank you so much again, Ryan, for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Donnie. It's been on a few podcasts lately, but this one's been really good. So appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so glad. And thanks everyone for joining in at How Humans Heal today. If you haven't already, I welcome you to subscribe to the podcast and to my newsletter so you don't miss the next episode. And I look forward to connecting with you all again very soon.
Thanks for listening to How Humans Heal. If you liked this episode, leave a rating and a review. And for more resources, visit drdonnie.com.